You're listening to She's the Business podcast. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about 3 counterintuitive rules for success with your sales, how to increase sales in your business. But these are 3 absolutely counterintuitive things that most people do not naturally think of to do when they're looking to increase their sales. In fact, you normally will do the exact opposite of what they are. So this episode is coming right up. Please stay tuned and we'll get straight into it.
Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and over the last 25 years in marketing and business, I've helped many brands to launch, scale, and grow, with some of them becoming multi-billion-dollar companies. I'm here to inspire you to get out of your own way and create a profitable, fulfilling business while living the lifestyle you really desire, without all the hustle. So I bring you She's the Business podcast, a unique blend of strategies, tactics, mindset, health, and spirituality, literally everything you need to be the successful leader of your dream business. Made by women, for women, this is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration.
All right, so in today's episode, we're talking about the 3 counterintuitive strategies to sell more in your business. Anytime sales are really slow, things have stopped, they're not really working out for you, then it could be because you're not applying one of these 3 counterintuitive strategies. And very likely you're probably doing the dead opposite of them. That's why they're counterintuitive. This is not common sense. This is not what your brain would tell you automatically to do, because it does seem very counterintuitive on the surface level. And today I'm going to talk to you about what these 3 things are and why they actually do work, even though you will automatically think that you should be doing the opposite. Now, if you stay through to the end, then I may have a little bonus 4th one, which is not for everybody. That is a 4th one with a big caveat of who it is for. But the first 3 are definitely quite universal. If you are in an online business, if you're a coach, an advisor, a service provider, then these first 3 counterintuitive strategies are absolutely relevant for you. So let's start with the first one. Now, the first one is to narrow your promise that you're making with your offerings. So what am I talking about here? Well, whatever your offering is, it has a promise. The promise is what the client is going to get out of it by the time they're finished working with you, by the end of your program, your package, your service. And so this promise, what I see so many people doing, because yes, you've got so much amazing talent and skill and ability and expertise to help people, is trying to include so much in your promise. You're like, well, I can change your life and your business and literally everything to do with it. You know, especially people who are in a life coaching space and they're helping with things like confidence and stepping into your purpose. All of these absolutely amazing and essential things that can help you, and they literally can help you with all aspects of your life and your business, but it's not doing you any favors to be trying to sell it that way. When your promise is so big and broad, it just seems wishy-washy. It's very disconnected from the context and the experience that your prospect is having right now, because they're not walking around thinking, I've got a giant problem with everything in my life and my business and I need a solution to solve it. So when you're making that promise as I'm going to help you solve all of these things, they're thinking, well, that's not my problem. I've got a very specific problem. Whatever they think their problem is the problem that they are trying to solve. So the thing that I like to help my Business Jam clients with is not so much that you're not going to help them with all of the things. You absolutely may, but it's going to work out for you a lot better if you are selling them on the problem that they're wanting to solve. And then you're giving them actually all the things that they really need once they're in your program. So sell them what they want, deliver what they need is such a really great mindset to have. And that comes down to having far more specificity in your promise. And, you know, just when you think about it, to give you an example of one of my business jammers, she is somebody who had a huge amount of expertise in the HR, the leadership space, had worked at all levels of an organization right up to the very, very top, working with the CEO on the leadership of the entire organization. So she had been sort of saying, I can help you with any problem that you're having in your job. And, you've got a boss who's being mean to you, or you've got some HR issues over here, literally got all of this expertise, all of this experience, and I can help you with any of it. Now, as you can imagine, how hard is that to sell? I'm the person who can help you with anything, because someone's walking around going, well, I don't have a problem with anything. I've got a specific problem. So unless she's actually saying what that problem is, they're not seeing her as a solution to go to. And once she'd narrowed in and actually decided, well, I'm going to help specifically women in middle management to rise up and be seen as leadership material so that they can get those leadership roles that they really aspire to. Suddenly that's specific. Suddenly she was having people coming out of the woodwork, literally signing up with her. She hadn't even started her, external marketing activity. This was literally just through her deciding that's what she's doing and starting to say it on her profiles and through word of mouth. So can you see the difference in the clarity there? Narrow your promise. Stop trying to include everything in your promise, because that is making it hard for your prospects to see you as the solution to their problem. Now, the second counterintuitive strategy is to flip from selling to serving. Now, you might think, well, why would I want to do that when I need to sell? Like, I'm in this place, I need to sell more because I want more clients coming into my business. And yeah, we do need to be selling. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be selling, but it's more about the intention that you're approaching this with. So let's give you an example of this. When you're doing a post and your intention is selling, you're most likely going to be talking about your program or offering in the way of like the features and the benefits and why someone wants it. And so you're talking really at that point to someone who's already pretty much decided on that. Whereas when we're doing content, we're basing it on serving your audience, really serving them in a way of giving value. And at the same time, you're planting seeds, you're introducing your program or offering as a solution. It's much more focused on the serving side. And what that means is that the energetic nature of how you're delivering the content completely changes. They're seeing your energy, your belief, your conviction, your confidence in what it is that you do. Instead of you trying to put something up there as like, hey, I've got this thing and I think it will be really great for you. And you're almost convincing them when you're coming at it from a selling perspective. Or intention. So with your intention on serving, you're actually doing a lot more selling than what you realize. And here's the real clincher, because this is the bit that I think a lot of people do struggle with. And especially when you're a big-hearted person, you've got so much to offer and give, is often when we are trying to serve through our content, we can sometimes serve too much. And so I'm saying, yes, we want to be serving and have that intention of serving. You don't want to be giving away the entire meal in your content though, because what is the appetite left for them to step forward and work with you? So yes, there is a balance there. We want to be serving, we want to be giving absolute value, and that they're thinking, I want more of this, I want more and more and more. They might be following along in your content, but there is also then that reason to step forward and say, hey, how can I actually work with you? And that's the goal here. But it's happening because of the serving that you're doing in your content as opposed to the selling that you're doing in your content. So by serving, you are selling. When you come at it from that intention of serving, you'll find that you have a lot more people stepping forward to ask more questions of how they can work with you. And yes, add in the call to actions, add in the way that they can step forward, the way that they can work with you. So you are still selling. It's just not the primary initial intention that your audience is feeling from your content. It's much more subtle and subliminal, and the selling is in there because of the way that you're serving them. I hope that makes sense for you. I hope that lands. Of course, it's all of these nuances in the approach and the intent that does actually come through so strongly in your content. And this is always what I'm helping inside Business Jam, while we've got some definite structures of what you use to create the content, the kinds of messaging that you're putting out there that helps you to attract people who are right for your offering and helps them to take those steps forward. Now, the third counterintuitive strategy for selling more to increase sales in your business is actually to sell less. And I know that sounds insane, right? What are you talking about, Jess? We're talking about increasing sales. So how can selling less possibly be the thing that I should do? And yes, I said these are going to be counterintuitive. What I mean by selling less is not that you're going to stop selling. I want you to be selling. I want you to be serving and selling in your content and through your business. But this is about actually selling less things. So here's where a lot of people make, a really big mistake. And I made this as well. I'm going to say, putting up my hand to say, I did this exact thing, was I created lots of things that people could buy from me. So I had short courses. I had a main program, Business Jam. I had a 12-month group coaching program as well as my one-to-one. So there was like this entire menu of different things that people could buy from me. And what that meant was in my marketing, my content, I've got all these different things I'm talking about. So one minute I'm over here talking about Business Jam. The next minute I'm talking about my group program. Then there's one-to-one if you want that. Or, hey, why don't you try this short course over here? Now, you might think, well, that sounds smart because you've got all these different options from people. Let me tell you from definite experience in when I worked with companies that were totally large global companies and we had many, many brands, to being a small business and having many things to talk about. It is entirely overwhelming and confusing for your audience to be chopping and changing and talking about something else all of the time. It's interesting to have something new to talk about at times, but if they're confused at all about what it is you offer, they're not spending the time to go and figure it out. They're not going to dive in and research your company, or the very odd person may, but they would be an anomaly, right? Most people are just going to feel confused by that. And so it was an absolute change to everything that I felt and did in my business. And indeed, my results completely flipped on their head when I decided to close down my 12-month program and actually cancel and shut down my short courses and just focus my energy on Business Jam. Because suddenly I'm talking to one type of client for a very specific promise. Again, so, each of those programs would have had different promises, different messaging. I'm talking to different people. And when I had Business Jam and the 12-month program, I'm talking to people who are wanting to build the profitable foundation in their business. And then people who already had a six-figure, multi-six-figure business, and they're looking at scaling strategies, which is what we were doing in the 12-month group. So when I decided, well, this is just far too confusing, who am I really talking to? It made it hard to create content, made it hard to have a consistent message in my business. By narrowing in and selling less, as in focusing in on a primary offering, that made my marketing so much easier and clearer. And yes, I can always have other things that I do in the background. In fact, I actually brought in a whole lot of the scaling strategies into Business Jam, but then it opens up the ability to have offerings that I might have in the background that I'm not necessarily marketing and promoting through my business, but that I still offer to clients once they've been through the main program and they're ready for it. So inside Business Jam, that's the kind of process that we're looking at, is structuring your offerings, because I'm not saying that you just have one, but it's more about what you're marketing, what you're actually presenting at the front end for your audience. You should have a primary offering because it makes your life easy. It makes it easy for your audience to know what it is that you do, and for them to know, great, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to get in here. All roads lead to Rome. You've got this primary offering, and then maybe you've got some back-end offers that they might upgrade into when they're ready. And by doing this, it streamlines your messaging, makes it so much more simple. And, there's been so many of my clients who've said to me, what a difference it made for them when they stopped jumping from talking about one thing over here to talking about another thing, the next week, and having so many different work streams where you've got different processes and onboarding systems and communication going out to all these, different segments of your audience about different things. It's making your life so much easier and much more simple when you're always talking about the one thing. And you can then think, what are all the different ways I can talk about this? How can I be more creative? Because I know what you're thinking. Oh, but Jess, how can I possibly talk about just one thing all the time? It would get really, really boring. Well, maybe for you it's going to get boring, but trust me, these days they say it's taking 26, I think was the last number I heard, which sounds insane, an insane volume of times that someone's going to hear about something before they're even going to start remembering it. So trust me, they're not experiencing the same level of repetition that you're feeling as the person putting out the content. We do need to be really clear, really consistent in that message for people to start remembering it, for people to start having that understanding and knowledge of what it is that you are doing. So I mentioned a moment ago, and then I went off on a tangent, that, I'd experienced working for large companies where, yes, they had the volume of resources to be able to support multiple brands. So I worked for the Royal Bank of Scotland many, many years ago now. And at the time, for my just section of that company as a huge global company, there were about 7 brands, and my team managed about 50 websites, which was insane, right? But we had a whole marketing department of probably about 50 odd people just for this one segment of the business. And there were multiple marketing departments across this global company. So hundreds of thousands of staff to support all these different brands and different segments. So you're not probably wanting to be doing that. You're not wanting to be building that size of a business. There's a massive, massive overhead in trying to run lots of different business brands and different segments. It creates so much heavy back-end administration for you. So, really, I'm always advising, when people come into Business Jam, I'm like, let's look at your offer suite. What have you got going on? Where are the synergies? How can we streamline this and bring it together so that it makes life easier for you, so that you've got much more clarity and consistency in your message? Because once you have that and it opens up the stream, then the volume can open up for you, and it can be just so much more simple than what you realize. So I said that there were 3 and potentially a bonus number 4. So this last one, the 4th strategy that is counterintuitive, and I'm going to say it comes with a big caveat. It's not for everyone. This is a strategy that is definitely for you if you're in a place where you offer one-to-one services, i.e. anything one-to-one, you really need to be considering as a premium offering. One-to-one with your time invested and that level of service and attention for your clients, it is a premium offering. Even if right now you may not be considering it as premium, it is premium compared to something where you're completely hands-off, like maybe a very short online course. You just sell the course and it's totally do-it-yourself, DIY. And there's always a sliding scale, right? You can go up from that to courses where there is live component, where there is live support, then group programs where there's you, but they're not getting you all to themselves, and scaling all the way up to where it's pure one-to-one. So, when you're up at the top end of that scale, you're in the high end of the group programs where there's a lot of your time invested, then a strategy that actually a lot of women completely overlook is simply around your pricing. And it's not just about looking at change the number, raise your price. It's kind of a very lazy way to approach things. Sometimes it can be that simple if you're really, really undercharging for your premium offerings, but it can be also around how you're packaging that offering, how you're putting together your pricing. And can be one of the fastest and easiest ways to scale your sales and results is by simply upgrading your pricing. Something I've noticed time and time again, and I've experienced this in my business, when sales have been slow, I've realized I'm actually undercharging for what it is that I do. And by raising my price into a place where it's in alignment, where it's in a really good alignment with the value that's being offered, and my price is always far less than the real value that my clients are experiencing, but it's in much more of an alignment as to they're perceiving the value in it as opposed to completely dismissing the value in it, which I've been in that place where I undercharged for what it was to the degree that people weren't actually perceiving that there was value in it. So we want to get out of that zone into a place where the people are perceiving value in what it is that you're offering. I find sales explode. They literally increase overnight simply because I've stepped up into accepted and recognizing the value that I offer and pricing accordingly. So it is a really great price. It's a win-win. It's a win for them and a win for me. And I noticed time and time again that can be the thing that really does kickstart a new phase of growth and sales coming in, because I've raised my price, right? This is why it's counterintuitive, because often we think people aren't buying. That must be because my price is still too high. That is the very common automatic answer that most of us will have when we think, I'm not having any sales, I must be too expensive, I need to lower the price. That's usually where we go to. Default solution number one. I'm saying it may not be actually the best solution for you. This is a counterintuitive thing. Often, and this is usually mostly with the women I work with, I don't see it as frequently with men. They tend to price their stuff very well, but women can be absolutely guilty of undercharging to the level that they're actually repelling sales from their business. So I love to help people to identify where that is the case in your business, and then help you to shift that pricing into a place that it is really well aligned, as in it's energetically aligned for you. It's a price that you can get behind. You know you're still giving incredible value for it, but your clients are valuing it as well. And what happens when you do step into that space? You're getting clients that are committed, that actually are valuing what it is that you do. And ironically, that means they get better results as a result of it. So it's a win for you, a win for them, a win-win all round. You're getting a better result for your business. They're getting better results in their, whatever it is you help them with, whether it's in their life, their career, their health, their wealth, whatever that may be. But you know, when they're invested in it personally, they have much higher levels of personal commitment to that outcome as well. So you're both in it together and in it to win. So I love that. They were my 3 plus the bonus 4th counterintuitive strategies for increasing sales in your business. So if you've enjoyed this episode, if you've learned something today, had an insight, like, oh, I hadn't actually thought about it in that way before, I'd love to hear about it. You know, please connect with me on Instagram. I'm at jessica.osborne. Send me a DM, say good day. I do read all my messages. I respond to them. But I'd also love it if you screenshotted this episode and shared on your stories and tag me there. And then you may be selected as a special mention on the future podcast episode, especially if you leave me a review as well. I do love to read out reviews. I haven't done that for a while, so that will be on my next episode. I'm going to read out a few of my recent reviews and say thank you, because I do so appreciate you being here and joining me on the podcast every week. So without further ado, I'll say goodbye and I'll see you next week. Bye. If the only people that you've been attracting into your audience lately are your friends and family, maybe some freebie seekers or time wasters, then it's a sign that there's something out of place or out of alignment in your strategy. And I've got something really amazing for you, a brand new live masterclass. It's called The Art of Attracting Quality Clients. And I'm going to take you through the really simple 3-part strategy that you need these pieces to be aligned so that you have quality, committed, paying clients coming into your business on a consistent basis. And that's without doing any icky cold sales or spending all of your day on social media. So come and join me in this class. You'll find the link in the show notes below, or you'll get it at jessicaosborne.com/clients.